0.2%. The rupee at 60.26 to the US dollar as we speak. Let's bring on board then Poonam, who is here to tell us how exactly the inflation numbers are likely to pan out for the day. Poonam.
Well, in terms of the CPI, it's likely at 8.2%. Look at the range. It's again a narrow range, right from 7.8% to an 8.5% in terms of the consensus estimates. But majority of the estimates are over the 8% mark. And although core CPI is likely to ease very slightly on a month-on-month basis, it stood at 7.9% in the last month. But the overall food inflation pressures do persist. We have seen the unseasonal rain, hailstorms, and that is likely to impact food inflation this month as well, and even in the coming months slightly. And also the recent easing that we have seen since the last few months in the food inflation, probably that is as of now over. In terms of the WPI, it's expected at 5.3%. Consensus range is right from 4.6 to 6.4%. Within the WPI, the primary articles is likely to rise owing to the food inflation pressures, but also the fuel inflation is likely to rise month on month, also impacted by an unfavorable base. But the manufactured or the core WPI inflation is more or less likely to remain pretty much stable. But in terms of the future outlook, the unseasonal or erratic weather, the risk of subnormal monsoon, as well as no strong measures taken on the supply, on easing the supply side bottlenecks, all these do remain a risk to the food inflation as well as the higher rural wages. Many of the economists do see that if at all RBI persists and remains focused on achieving the 6% CPI mark by Jan of 2016, then there is a possibility of RBI rising or hiking rates nearly by 25 to 50 bips over the end of 2014. So we still need to watch out for that. But as of now, a prolonged pause by RBI in terms of the rate is what is affected. Let's see how the inflation data shapes up.
Poonam, 10 seconds answer. What is the most important thing that you'll watch out for today?
We'll watch out for the CPI numbers. Both core CPI as well as the headline CPI remains important. That's what would be the core thing to be watched out for.
Thanks very much, Poonam, for giving us all of those details. Let's bring on board then our experts to discuss the inflation numbers. DK Joshi, Director and Chief Economist at CRISIL, joins in. We've got Indranil Pan, Chief Economist at Kotak Mahindra Bank, on the show. Arindam Ghosh, CEO at BlackRidge Capital Advisors, is with us, and we will be kickstarting that discussion. Thanks very much for joining in. I'd like to come across to you, Mr. Joshi, up first with what you're expecting on the core CPI inflation number this time around.
Well, core CPI has been very sticky and we don't expect it to change too much. And overall, CPI also will remain around 8%, couple of basis points here and there. So not much change in inflation this month compared to last month. Maybe a little upside, but that should not be seen as a change in the direction of inflation, because the underlying conditions, apart from weather-related things, they remain quite subdued. I mean, economic growth continues to remain weak. Weakness has actually extended. The IIP data for the month of February that was released shows that. And as far as the pressure from commodity and oil is concerned, that is also muted at this juncture. And on top of that, the rupee is also appreciated a bit. So I think any shock from the oil and commodity side is not visualized. So there are many factors that are favorable right now. The only spoiler could be the food inflation part, which not only responds to monsoons, but there are many other underlying issues that influence food inflation. Particularly in the past, we've seen food inflation rise even with good monsoons. And last year, or the fiscal 2013-14 is a good example of that. I mean, where we had overall excellent monsoons, but food inflation continued to be intolerably high.
Yeah, that's the problem. Indranil,
it has come down only now.
Yeah, Indranil, that's the point really. Do you think most of the easing that we saw in food inflation is over now, and could there be a risk of erratic monsoons, El Nino, etc., on food inflation now and going ahead?
I think what we've typically seen during the last times inflation numbers, both the CPI and the WPI, is that the very high food inflation, especially the vegetables and fruits inflation, has come down very significantly. So we are, the way to put it is that we are more or less normalized in terms of the movement of the vegetables and the fruits inflation. So there is no further downside that we are expecting from that perspective. And on the other side, I think what you rightly pointed out is that the effect of the El Nino, whether the intensity of the El Nino and also the logistics management under the new government, so far as the food inflation is concerned, or the distribution of food is concerned, will also to a large extent influence the food inflation perspective. So I think it's still a wait and watch going forward in terms of the food inflation dynamics, but we are definitely not seeing any huge crumble in the inflation numbers.
Arindam, an important factor that really influenced last month's CPI numbers was the fact that you had this food inflation in single digits, which is why the CPI number was at a 25-month low. What is it that you're expecting from the food inflation component this time around?
Well, the market has actually been expecting, a modest increase in the food prices. That's largely because of the impact of the weather on the food prices. So both, CPI and WPI to that extent would obviously get impacted marginally on the upside. But overall, I think market has actually priced a nominal or modest increase in both CPI and WPI. I think what is going to be more keenly watched is the core inflation, which actually has been hardening and continues to harden in an environment where the demand has been extremely weak. So I think that is something which is going to be keenly watched. But overall, I think long term, the trend is definitely downward, and I think inflation is going to come down. Unless, as we heard, and we all know that, if we have a disaster in the form of a monsoon, of a bad monsoon, I think, that can be the real spoiler. But otherwise, I think inflation is going to trend down, which is going to help savings, which is going to help boost, ultimately, investment and growth.
Okay, any moment now, and we'll get those numbers out just about any moment from now. We'll try and make it quick. Indraneel, fuel prices and the recent strengthening in the rupee, how would that impact inflation?
To a certain extent, I think the fuel prices will probably have a bigger implication for the WPI than the CPI. Now, having said that, I think they are already talking about a reduction in the petrol prices, but diesel prices is on the higher side, and diesel prices anyways need to be increased going forward rather than decreased. So there's still a very positive impact on inflation, positive in the sense that inflation is likely to be on the higher side because of the adjustment of the diesel prices rather than anything else. So I don't think there is a very big influence of the overall fuel price management for the overall inflation dynamics, and especially so for the CPI inflation, the influence will be relatively lower than the WPI inflation, and CPI inflation is something that we are actually keenly watching out at this point in time.
Mr. Joshi, how do you see the overall impact on the food inflation with respect to the supply side bottlenecks, as well as worries of a below normal monsoon playing out, not just this time around, but over the next coming months as well?
Well, I think monsoons, the initial noise on the monsoon is not good, but I think it's too early to conclude that we are going to end up with a failed monsoon. The threat of El Nino has been highlighted by Australian Met and also the US Meteorological Department. But I think our Met is, we are waiting the response from them. And even if El Nino does play out, that doesn't necessarily mean that we'll have a failed monsoon. In the past, we have seen years when El Nino effect was there, but the monsoons were fairly normal. But I think the issue there is that the risk on the monsoon front has started rising a little bit, and I think only time will tell. And we await the forecast from the meteorological department. What the failed monsoons or bad monsoons can do is they can create a spike in food inflation. But as I was pointing out, food inflation can spike even without bad monsoons. And I think there are supply side issues. If you look at what has caused food inflation in the past, sometimes it is pulses. In some year it is edible oil. Some year it is fruits and vegetables. I think the components keep shifting, and even with a good monsoon, there's enough chance of food inflation spiking. And I think that's largely to do with the supply side issues. So I think we can't afford a bad monsoon this year, because I think it will hit both growth as well as inflation adversely. But I would keep my fingers crossed on the monsoon front at this juncture. And in our forecasts, we are going ahead with a normal monsoon for 2014-15 as of now, and which translates into a 8% average CPI growth for this fiscal year.
Okay. Arindam, would request you to give an opinion very quickly on the RBI action, or the possible RBI action as a result of this, with the presumption that inflation comes in at par at 8.2.
Well, I think RBI has definitely set the goalposts, and I think it's going to definitely operate within that. More importantly, I think there has been a significant amount of credibility which has got re-established with global investors, with RBI, the way it's been functioning and the independence of that institution, which obviously plays a part in how inflation policies and strategies are going to get rolled out and unleashed in as we go forward. Importantly, we must remember that a country like ours, inflation targeting works more efficiently when you have a demand-led situation. Ours is supply-led.
Arindam, please excuse me, Arindam. We'll have to cut you here, because we've got the CFO of Diageo, Dayadri Malan, CFO and ED of Diageo, joins us right now. Good having you. Thanks so much for joining in. On this news, you're paying an 18.5% premium to CMP. Do you think the valuations are so appealing despite the challenges in the Indian liquor market?
India is forward.
Okay, just hold on for a moment, Malan. The March WPI numbers, 5.7 versus 4.68 and versus expectations of 5.3. It's a tad bit higher than what we were working with. I don't know if it's had an immediate impact on the bond, on the yields or the rupee as well. But this is what's happened. March WPI soared to 5.7%, so higher than what we were working with, higher than the estimate of 5.3 and much higher than the corresponding month on a month-on-month basis. So this won't augur too well. I don't know if the equity markets have taken a reaction thereof. No, they have kind of stayed stable. But yeah, the WPI numbers are certainly high. Food inflation has risen to 9.9%, which is the highest since December 13. Even the WPI, mind you, is the highest since December 13, led predominantly by food inflation. So that, I think, is the big worry.
Yeah, of course, and that's your key culprit, which is why you are seeing, this time around an uptick in the overall inflation number. Indraneel, would like you to react particularly to the headline number as well as food inflation at 9.9%.
No, I think headline we were anyways working with a 5.67, so we are sort of on target on the headline number anyways. Food inflation is something that I had already said that's the only element that is likely to have reacted in the overall inflation dynamics. So it's sort of accepted that food inflation would have been on the higher side. Now I don't have the core inflation number yet, but the core inflation obviously is also sort of expected to be on a sideways trajectory. So putting the whole thing together, and as I mentioned even earlier, I think the bigger reliance or a bigger sort of focus would be on the CPI inflation. That's what the RBI is also focusing on at this point in time. And so the evening's CPI number will be more relevant for the market possibly than anything else. But having seen the food inflation rising to such an extent, I think there could be a bit of a negative surprise on the CPI also.
So that's a strong possibility. Arindam, I had to cut you off, but there's not too much of an adverse reaction as of now, but disappointing, particularly how the food inflation has behaved this time.
Well, not really. I think, market was definitely expecting, the food prices to move up, and that's, as we all know, is largely because of, the impact of the weather. So I think this was in expected lines. Food prices, have significantly come down from, the August highs. So I think to that extent, whilst this does look, definitely, a lot, higher than what probably, the street expectation was. But more or less, I think this could well be a temporary phenomenon. I think, markets definitely is going to, take it in a stride and probably look at the overall longer term trend, which would continue to remain, on the downside.
Let's also bring on board Maithili Bhushan-Urmat, consulting editor, ET now, who joins in. And Maithili, take off on the point that Arindam flagged off. 5.7% WPI inflation. Will the markets take it in their stride? Is this a temporary phenomenon?
Well, I'm not so confident on that score for the simple reason that as the summer months come on, typically food inflation rises because the prices of food and vegetables rise. So I'm really not very confident on that score. In fact, I would think that what we're hoping is temporary may turn out to be more permanent. And you will find that the RBI governor finds himself between a rock and a hard place, because if you look at the weights given to food, in the CPI, the weightage given to food is much higher. Almost 50%, 49% is the weight given to food, whereas in the case of WPI, the weightage is much less, only about 20%. So if you find food inflation on the high side, then the CPI is likely to be even higher than expected, and that will make the RBI task even more difficult, given that the governor has said that he's going to be focusing on the CPI. So I'm afraid I'm not too optimistic about this being a very transient phenomenon.
Okay. And so, having said that, Maithili, just a couple of points. It's not just food inflation. Manufactured inflation is highest since May 2013. Fuel inflation highest since September 2013. So, a lot of these statistics are pointing a slightly worrying picture.
Oh, absolutely. And given the fact that we've already seen the IIP number negative of 1.9%, I think the RBI governor is going to find it particularly hard, because if there was some sign of a pickup in the industrial production, then maybe he could have said, okay, well, now in that case, we can go slow as far as inflation is concerned. But now there's no sign at all. So unless he takes some drastic action to kickstart growth, and what can he do when inflation is so high? It's going to be very difficult. In fact, we've just seen the former governor, Bimal Jalan, just say that, the RBI perhaps has to focus on growth as well. But given the fact that inflation is so high, the governor really will have nowhere to turn. He has to perhaps wait to pursue inflation, get inflation down, and then hope that since inflation, low growth is a function more of lack of decision making by government, lack of confidence, investors losing faith in governance, those are the kind of issues. And once we have a new government in place, hopefully those kind of things will happen, and then it will justify his continuing to focus only on inflation. But certainly a very difficult task for the governor.
Maithili, thanks as always for joining in and giving us that interesting perspective on what you make of the inflation numbers. I just want to quickly mark the frontline index, because as of now, it's certainly not taking it in its stride. We're, by the way, at the day's low right now at 67.17. Banks have been under pressure, but now have come off a little bit more. HDFC, JSPL, Tata Motors, DLF, M&M are some of the top losers, and the Sensex is now seeing a cut of 209 points. Mr. Joshi, wanted your views on, particularly the point that Maithili brought up. The weightage of food inflation in CPI is almost something like 50%. So it's worrying, given the supply side bottlenecks, that this number is only going to escalate and even touch those double digits again.
Yeah, I think CPI is more impacted by food. Obviously, the WPI has much lesser weight of food in it. So I think you should see a bigger impact in CPI, maybe this month, maybe next month, because it takes time for sometimes to move, for inflation to move from WPI to CPI. There's a little bit of lag. But I think what is critical from the central bank perspective is whether this shock that we've seen, a mild shock that we have seen this month, is it temporary or is it going to last? And that's extremely hard to predict. Last time around, when the vegetable inflation spiked, I think central bank had taken a call that this was a temporary spike, and they expected it to correct, and it did correct, and they did not respond to that spike. So I think central bank is, I don't think it is responding to shut this spike that we have seen today. I think they'll hold on and wait for more firm data to come up so that they can properly assess whether this shock is permanent or is temporary. I think the one scenario in which the shock can become permanent is if you have a failed monsoon. I think then there's no question that food inflation will continue to pressurize going ahead. But I think otherwise this might as well be a transient shock. But I think you can't take the risk, because in the last 6 to 7 years you've seen food inflation stay continuously high, and irrespective of what happens to monsoon. So I think there is a huge amount of unpredictability with respect to food inflation, and that makes the RBI's task even more difficult. They're not looking at core alone; they are specifically looking at aggregate inflation, which they have argued out in the Urjit Patel Committee report as to why they need to look at overall inflation. And I think given that is the stance, the monetary policy, I believe, will continue to remain harsh on growth. I mean, it can't serve both growth and inflation at the same time. I think since inflation is both are worries, but I think inflation has been a very sticky problem for quite some time, and it needs to be brought down. So I would expect central bank policy to remain either neutral from where it is currently, or little upside to interest rates going ahead.
Great. Thanks so much, Indranil, Mr. Joshi, Arindam, for joining in today and giving us your views. Really appreciate you taking the time out. By the way, the bond yields have moved up to 9.2%, so they've hardened considerably. They were at 9% before the inflation numbers came out, at 9.2% now. The best time to get in. Two very eminent voices as well. Neeraj Gambhir, MD and Head of Fixed Income India at Nomura Capital, joins us on the show. And I think in a bit, or probably we also have Anant Narayan, Co-Head of Wholesale Banking.